Chosen one, why did you just tell them? Why did you share your breakthrough before it broke through? Why did you announce your healing before the test results came back? Why did you explain yourself to people who were never meant to understand you? And now, right now, in this exact moment, can you feel it? That sinking sensation in your chest, that familiar ache of regret. Because they didn't celebrate with you, they questioned you, they mocked you, they told others. And what was supposed to be your sacred moment became their gossip over Sunday dinner. Listen to me carefully. Before you utter another word about what God is doing in your life this year, stop. Heaven is trying to protect you from your own mouth. You see, there's something happening in 2026 that hell doesn't want you to understand. The enemy isn't fighting you with demons anymore. He's fighting you with your own circle, the people closest to you, the ones who smile at your face but question your faith behind closed doors. The family members who've watched you struggle for 70 years and can't imagine you suddenly thriving. And you, precious soul, you keep handing them ammunition. You keep explaining your God-given dreams to dream killers. You keep sharing your prophetic moments with people who've never heard God's voice themselves. Proverbs 29:11 cuts deep. A fool uttereth all his mind, but a wise man keepeth it in till afterwards. Till afterwards, not forever, till afterwards. Because timing isn't just important in God's kingdom, timing is everything. Here's the prophetic warning that woke me at 2:47 a.m. 3 nights ago. In 2026, what you reveal too soon can cost you what God has been preparing for decades. The blessing you've prayed for since 1987. The healing you've begged for since your diagnosis. The breakthrough that's been building in the invisible realm while you've been barely surviving in the visible one. There are 3 specific things, 3 sacred things that God has shown me you must never reveal this year. Not to your children, not to your prayer partner, not even to your pastor. If you reveal even one of them to the wrong person at the wrong time, you may delay what he's orchestrating by years. Before we go deeper, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just giving, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you sow or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message is already gripping your soul, go ahead and let the Holy Spirit lead your heart. But right now, this very second, if something in you is already stirring, don't you dare click away. Type "I'm listening" in the comments below. Let heaven see your agreement, because this warning might be the exact reason you found this video tonight. The 3 things are coming. But first, you need to understand why your words have more power in 2026 than they've ever had before. Why does it feel like heaven just went quiet on you? Why are the doors that were wide open last year suddenly sealed shut? Why is God answering everyone else's prayers, but yours seem to echo back from a concrete ceiling? Because, chosen one, something massive is shifting in the spiritual realm, and what looks like silence is actually strategy. You see, 2026 is not just another year on the calendar. This is not another trip around the sun while you count down your remaining birthdays. This is a construction year in the spirit. Heaven is framing rooms you haven't even stepped into yet. God is laying foundations for structures your natural eyes cannot see. And the enemy? He's circling like a vulture, desperately trying to figure out what the Almighty is building in your life. Let me ask you something that might sting. You've lived 60, 70, maybe 80 years on this earth. You've buried people you loved. You've survived diagnoses that should have taken you out. You've watched your children grow up and move away. You've downsized from the family home to something smaller, quieter, and somewhere along the way, you started believing the lie that things are winding down, that your best chapters are behind you, that God's big moves are for younger people with more time left. But what if I told you that while your body has been slowing down, heaven has been speeding up? What if everything you thought was ending was actually just beginning? What if those closed doors, those cancelled plans, those suddenly silent friendships weren't rejection, but divine redirection? What if God has been clearing your calendar, emptying your house, and quieting your phone because he needs you focused on what he's about to construct in the invisible realm? Think about Joseph for a moment. Genesis 37 tells us he had dreams straight from God. Prophetic, powerful, destiny-defining dreams. And what did he do? He ran straight to his brothers and told them everything. Listen to this dream I had. You're all going to bow down to me. He was 17 years old, full of faith and fire, and he thought sharing his revelation would bring celebration. Instead, it brought a pit, then slavery, then false accusations, then prison. 13 years of hell because he opened his mouth too soon. Now, I'm not saying Joseph's suffering was his fault, but I am saying this. Premature revelation invites premature warfare. When you announce what God is building before he says to announce it, you're basically handing the enemy a blueprint of exactly where to attack you. Mary understood this. When the angel Gabriel appeared to her and declared she would carry the Messiah, do you know what she did? Luke 2:19 says she kept all these things and pondered them in her heart. She didn't run to the village square. She didn't post it on the ancient equivalent of social media. She pondered, she treasured. She kept it hidden until the appointed time of revelation. And Jesus himself, the Son of the living God, lived 30 years in complete obscurity before 3 years of public ministry. 30 years. Carpenter's son. Small town, nobody. The world had no idea that the Savior of mankind was building tables in Nazareth. But heaven knew, and heaven was constructing something in those hidden years that 3 short years of public ministry would unleash with such force that 2,000 years later we're still feeling the shockwaves. Hidden years aren't wasted years, they're construction years. You know what happens on a construction site? They put up fences, orange cones, do not enter signs. Not because they hate people, but because walking into an active construction zone can get you killed. Half-built structures are dangerous. Exposed foundations are vulnerable. Live electrical wires are lethal. Heaven is putting up do not enter tape around certain parts of your life in 2026. That relationship that suddenly went cold. That's divine fencing. That ministry opportunity that disappeared overnight. That's holy construction cones. That financial door that slammed shut when you were certain it was God's will. That's the Almighty protecting what he's building from people who would contaminate it, criticize it, or worse, try to help build it before it's time. And here's what's going to shock you. One of the 3 things you must never reveal this year has to do with what God is building behind that fence. If you open it too soon, if you let the wrong person peek behind that orange tape, the enemy walks straight in. Not with a frontal assault. No, he's too smart for that. He walks in through the very people you trust. Your daughter, who means well, but doesn't understand spiritual things. Your church friend, who's jealous of God's favor on your life, but would never admit it. Your grown son, who thinks you're getting senile when you talk about hearing from God. They don't mean to sabotage you, but their doubt becomes a crowbar. Their questions become a wrecking ball. Their concern becomes contamination of the holy thing God is constructing in secret. This is why you've been feeling so isolated lately. This is why conversations feel shallow. This is why you can't seem to connect with people the way you used to. It's not loneliness, it's holy separation. God is fencing you off from voices that would derail what he's designing. If this is starting to explain some of the weird delays and closed doors you've seen, just write, I understand in the comments right now. You're not crazy. You're not being punished. You're not forgotten. You're being protected for something so sacred that heaven itself has gone into construction mode over your life. But the question burning in your chest right now is this. What exactly am I supposed to keep silent about? What are these 3 things that could cost me everything if I reveal them too soon? The first thing God is warning you not to reveal in 2026 is your fresh revelation, the new thing He's spoken that barely has roots yet. I'm talking about that dream He gave you last Tuesday at 3 a.m. That whisper you heard while sitting in your recliner, tears streaming down your face, wondering if He'd forgotten about you. That promise that made your 78-year-old heart skip a beat for the first time in decades. That vision so clear, so real, you could taste it. And what did you do? You told someone. Maybe it was your daughter who called Wednesday morning. Maybe it was your sister at coffee on Thursday. Maybe it was your prayer group on Sunday. And the moment those words left your lips, you saw it. That look, that smirk, that barely concealed doubt. At your age, Mum? Really? Don't you think you should just be grateful for what you have? I don't want you getting your hopes up and being disappointed again. And just like that, the thing that felt so alive inside you started dying. The seed God planted in the secret place of your heart got ripped out of the soil before it even had a chance to sprout. Because you showed it to people who've never planted anything in their lives except doubt. Listen to me carefully, beloved. You don't plant a seed and then rip the soil open every 10 minutes to show people what's happening underground. You don't dig it up to prove it's growing. You don't parade it around the neighborhood asking everyone's opinion about whether it's going to make it. No, you cover it. You water it in secret, you protect it from the elements, and you wait for it to be strong enough to break through the surface on its own. Your revelation is that seed, and 2026 is the year you finally learn to keep your mouth shut until the roots are deep enough that no one's opinion can kill what God is doing. Think about Joseph, 17 years old, vibrant, full of life. God gives him dreams, powerful dreams, about his destiny, about his family bowing before him, about a future so magnificent it seemed impossible. And what does Joseph do? He runs straight to his brothers and tells them everything. Genesis 37:5 says, "And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more." They hated him yet the more. Not because the dream was false, not because God didn't speak it, but because Joseph didn't understand something you're learning right now. Premature revelation invites persecution. When you share sacred things with carnal people, you're asking to be misunderstood. When you announce your breakthrough to folks who are still stuck in their own bondage, you're inviting their bitterness into your blessing. Joseph's brothers threw him in a pit, sold him into slavery, told their father he was dead. 22 years of suffering followed that conversation. 22 years. And here's what breaks my heart. None of it had to happen if Joseph had just learned to sit in silence with what God showed him. But you know what? Even that wasn't wasted. Because when Joseph finally stood before Pharaoh, when he finally stepped into the fullness of that dream, he was 40 years old. 40. The dream didn't die in the pit. It was refined there, strengthened there, prepared there. And when it finally manifested, it was so undeniable that even his brothers, the same ones who mocked him, had to bow. That's your story too, chosen one. It needs silence. It needs protection from the very people you thought would celebrate it. Here's what the enemy knows that you're just figuring out. He can't kill what God has spoken, but he can delay it. He can't cancel your destiny, but he can attack it through the mouths of the people you trust most. 1 Peter 5-8 warns us, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour." He's not coming with horns and a pitchfork. He's coming through your daughter's well-meaning concern, through your best friend's realistic advice, through your church members' practical wisdom. And every time you reveal what's still fragile, you give him another opportunity to plant doubt where God planted promise. So, here's what I need you to do. Right now, this very moment, think about the last thing God whispered to you, that healing he promised, that reconciliation he prophesied, that financial breakthrough he revealed, that purpose he's awakening in you, even at 82 years old. Have you told anyone? Have you explained it? Have you tried to convince someone it's real? And how did they respond? Did their eyes light up with faith, or did you see that flicker of doubt? Did they pray with you, or did they try to talk you down from what God lifted you up to see? If you've ever shared something holy and had it laughed at, type, "That was me" in the comments right now. You're not alone in this. And more importantly, God saw what they did to His word in your mouth. He saw how they treated His promise like it was your imagination. And He's telling you today, stop casting your pearls before swine. The problem was never the promise, the problem was the timing and the audience. But here's what you need to understand before we move to the second thing. There's something even more dangerous than revealing your fresh revelation. Something that many chosen ones reveal every single year without realizing it's the exact reason they keep getting spiritually attacked, financially drained, and emotionally exhausted. And what I'm about to show you next will explain why 2025 felt like a battlefield. The second thing God is warning you never to reveal carelessly in 2026 is your deepest wound. That place that still bleeds when life presses on it. The fracture in your soul that never quite healed right. You know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you? It's that divorce that happened 30 years ago, but you still can't say his name without your throat closing. It's those children who stopped calling, who moved 3 states away and only text on Christmas if you're lucky. It's that business you poured everything into that collapsed in 2008, leaving you with nothing but shame and a mortgage you're still paying at 72. It's that diagnosis, the doctor whispered across the desk, that changed everything, and you've been managing it alone ever since because you're tired of being pitied. Here's what breaks my heart. You trusted someone with that wound. You sat across from a family member, a church friend, maybe even someone you called your confidant, and you peeled back the layers. You showed them the raw, unhealed parts of your story. You let them see you cry. You let them hear the tremble in your voice when you admitted you don't know how you're going to make it through another year. And what did they do with your sacred pain? They weaponized it. That cousin who asked about your finances. She told the whole family you were broke at Thanksgiving dinner. That church sister who prayed with you about your depression. She whispered to 3 other women that you were losing it and maybe shouldn't be teaching Sunday school anymore. That friend who knew about your wayward son. She reminded you of his mistakes every single time her perfect grandchildren visited, just to make sure you remembered your shame. Matthew 7-6 warns us with surgical precision. Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet, and turn again, and rend you. Your story is holy. Your wound is a pearl, formed through years of pressure and pain. And you've been casting it before people who trampled it, and then turned around and attacked you with it. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. If you break your arm, you don't leave the bone exposed on the sidewalk and invite strangers to poke it. You protect it. You cover it. You only let trained medical professionals touch it. Yet many of you have been doing the exact opposite with your soul for decades. You've been treating your deepest wounds like community property, like anyone who asks deserves the full story, like vulnerability is always noble and silence is always shame. But that's not what the Bible teaches. That's not what wisdom looks like. Jesus himself didn't reveal everything to everyone. John 2:24 tells us, "But Jesus did not commit himself unto them, because he knew all men. He knew all men. He understood human nature. He recognized that not everyone who asks questions deserves answers. Not everyone who shows interest deserves intimacy. There's a difference between being vulnerable and being foolish. There's a difference between transparency and exposure. God will send safe people into your life, pastors who've earned the right to your story, counselors who are bound by sacred confidentiality, friends who've proven over years, not weeks, that they can hold your heart without crushing it. But 2026 requires something from you that you haven't practiced enough. Discernment. The enemy knows your wounds. He's studied them for decades. But he can't use them against you unless someone on the inside gives him access. Someone you trusted, someone you told, someone who seemed safe but was actually a spy in your camp. Think about Samson and Delilah. Judges 16 records his downfall, and it wasn't because he was weak. It was because he revealed his weakness to someone who had already proven she couldn't be trusted. 3 times she betrayed him. 3 times she handed him over to his enemies. And yet he still told her the secret of his strength. Why? Because he confused affection with safety. He confused her questions with genuine concern. How many of you are living that story right now? How many times did they prove they couldn't hold your heart gently, and yet you kept going back, kept explaining, kept hoping this time would be different? Here's the aha moment that's going to set you free. You weren't weak for trusting. You were unprotected because you trusted the wrong people. There's no shame in having wounds. Jesus rose from the grave with his scars still visible, but he chose who got to see them. He chose who got to touch them. Thomas asked, and Jesus showed him, but he didn't parade his pierced hands through the streets of Jerusalem for the mockers to see. Your wound is not entertainment. Your struggle is not gossip material. Your pain is not a cautionary tale for people who've never walked a mile in your shoes. Proverbs 4:23 commands us, "Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life." Keep your heart, guard it, protect it, not because you're bitter, but because you're wise. Not because you're closed off, but because you're discerning. If this is exposing patterns in your life right now, don't keep scrolling. This is where many people click off and miss the one part they needed most. Stay with me. Hit that like button so this reaches another senior who's bleeding in silence right now, thinking they have to explain themselves to everyone. Type "I will guard my heart" in the comments below. Let heaven witness your new commitment. Because there is a third thing, and for many of you, it's what the enemy has been hunting for decades. If he discovers this, he doesn't just wound you, he doesn't just steal your peace, he hijacks your entire legacy. He corrupts the very thing you were born to pass down. Are you ready to discover what you must protect at all costs? Listen to me very carefully, chosen one. What I'm about to tell you is the piece of the puzzle that's been missing your entire life. The reason your plans keep falling apart. The reason doors slam shut just when you're about to walk through them. The reason every time you get close to breakthrough, chaos erupts out of nowhere. The third thing God is warning you never to reveal carelessly in 2026 is your next strategic move. The thing you and God are quietly planning in the secret place of prayer. I'm talking about the real decisions, the ones that keep you awake at 3 a.m. Maybe you're finally planning to move out of the city where your children have disappointed you for decades. Maybe you're about to change your will because you've watched your son drink away every dollar you've ever given him. Maybe you're planning to start that small business you've dreamed about since 1983, the one everyone said was foolish. Maybe you're about to cut off financial support to that grandchild who only calls when they need money. Maybe you're writing the book, selling the house, making the investment, ending the toxic relationship. Whatever it is, you've been carrying it like a secret pregnancy. And dear soul, you need to keep it that way. Here's what heaven showed me that's going to blow your mind. In chess, the player who announces every move before they make it never wins. Never. Because the opponent isn't guessing anymore, they're preparing. They're blocking. They're 3 steps ahead of you because you handed them the playbook. You've been doing this your whole life, haven't you? You get excited about what God whispers in your spirit, and before the sun comes up, you're on the phone telling your sister. Before the idea even takes root, you're explaining it to your prayer group. Before God even confirms it, you're defending it to people who were never meant to understand it. And what happens? Every single time, something explodes. Your blood pressure spikes. Your daughter calls with a crisis. The bank suddenly denies your loan. Your pastor questions your discernment. The very people you told become the weapons hell uses to discourage you. That wasn't coincidence, beloved. That was strategic warfare. Proverbs 11:13 warns us. A talebearer revealeth secrets, but he that is of a faithful spirit concealeth the matter. Concealeth, not forever, until the appointed time, until God says, now tell them what I've already done. You want to know why the enemy fights you so viciously when you're planning something new? Because he's terrified of your next move. He can handle your past, it's already written. He can manage your present, you're still standing despite everything he's thrown at you. But your future, your next strategic move, that's the one thing that keeps hell awake at night. Think about this. When Nehemiah went to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, did he announce his plans at the city gate? Did he hold a press conference explaining his strategy? No. Nehemiah 2:12 says, I arose in the night, I and some few men with me. Neither told I any man what my God had put in my heart to do at Jerusalem. He kept it quiet until the work was halfway done. Why? Because the moment you announce your blueprint, you give the enemy time to sabotage the foundation. The devil doesn't just want to hurt you anymore, chosen one. At your age, with your wisdom, with your resources, he wants to hijack what you leave behind. He wants your money to go to the wrong people. He wants your property to cause family division. He wants your spiritual heritage to die with you. He wants your grandchildren to forget the God you've served for 70 years. And here's how he does it. He listens. He waits for you to reveal your plans in emotional conversations. He stations people around you who ask innocent questions. So, what are you going to do with the house? Have you thought about who gets what when you're gone? Are you really going to make that change at your age? And you, because you're honest, because you're trusting, because you still believe people have your best interest at heart, you tell them everything. You explain your reasoning. You defend your decisions. You share the blueprint. Big mistake. Let me ask you something that's going to cut deep. The last time you shared your plan, really shared it, laid it all out, what happened in the next 72 hours? Did peace follow, or did chaos? Did support arrive, or did sudden opposition? Did the door open wider, or did it slam shut? Think about it. Really think. That health crisis that came out of nowhere, that family drama that exploded over nothing, that financial setback you couldn't explain, that confusion that made you second-guess what you knew God had spoken. It wasn't random, beloved. The moment the enemy caught wind of your blueprint, he rushed the board. He called in reinforcements. He activated every person in your circle who could talk you out of it, delay you, or make you doubt yourself. This is why Joseph didn't announce his dreams the second time. This is why Mary kept things and pondered them in her heart. This is why Jesus told people, "See that you tell no man," after he healed them, because premature revelation invites premature opposition. But in 2026, you're going to do something different. You're going to move like a master chess player. You're going to let your actions speak louder than your announcements. You're going to protect the blueprint until the building is already standing. Your next move isn't a topic for discussion. It's a covenant between you and God. And when he says it's time to reveal it, you won't have to explain yourself. The fruit will speak for itself. If you know you've leaked your moves before, say it out loud right now. In 2026, my moves belong to God, not to people's opinions. Say it until your spirit believes it. Drop "I move" in silence in the comments if you're claiming that authority, because what's coming for you this year is too precious to be sabotaged by loose lips and well-meaning advice from people who've never heard God speak your name. But knowing what not to reveal is only half the battle, because there's something else happening in 2026 that changes everything about how you walk this out. You know what breaks my heart? It's watching you sit at that kitchen table every morning, coffee getting cold, wondering why nobody asks for your opinion anymore. Why your children talk around you instead of to you. Why the pastor stops mid-sentence when you try to share what God showed you in prayer. And you've been telling yourself the same lie for years now. I don't matter. My voice is too old. My words carry no weight. But what if I told you something that's going to shatter that deception right now? What if every time you felt silenced, every moment you thought you were being ignored, every season when your words seem to fall on deaf ears. What if that wasn't rejection at all? What if God Himself was putting His hand gently over your mouth? Listen to me carefully, chosen one. There's a difference between being dismissed and being protected. There's a difference between being overlooked and being covered. And for the last 5, 10, maybe 20 years, you haven't been forgotten. You've been hidden. Think about this. How many times have you tried to share something precious, a dream God gave you, a breakthrough you sensed coming, a word of wisdom you knew in your bones was true, and the person sitting across from you just glazed over, changed the subject, checked their phone? You felt worthless in that moment, didn't you? Like your decades of walking with God meant nothing. Like all that wisdom carved into your soul through fire and flood somehow evaporated the day you turned 70. But here's what was really happening. Heaven was intercepting your words before they reached the wrong ears. You see, the enemy has been studying you your whole life. He knows your voice. He knows your patterns. He knows that when you finally break your silence and speak what God has shown you, nations shift, families heal, strongholds crumble. And He's been positioning people around you, yes, even people you love, to steal your words before their appointed time. So God muted you, not because your voice doesn't matter, but because it matters too much to waste on the wrong audience. Look at Jesus. Mark 1:43-4 records Him healing a leper, then immediately commanding him, "See thou say nothing to any man." A man just got healed of a disease that made him an outcast for years, and Jesus tells him to keep quiet. That seems cruel until you understand the strategy. The testimony was true, but the timing wasn't right. The crowds weren't ready. The religious leaders were already plotting. One premature word could derail everything. Or consider Mary, the mother of Jesus. Luke 2:19 says, "But Mary kept all these things and pondered them in her heart." She didn't run through Nazareth shouting about angel visits and virgin births. She didn't defend herself to the neighbors who whispered about her pregnancy. She kept it. She pondered it. She let God protect the story until the world was ready to receive it. And Paul, the greatest evangelist who ever lived, what did he do right after his Damascus Road encounter? Galatians 1:17 tells us he went into Arabia, disappeared, vanished for 3 years. Nobody heard from him, no preaching tours, no miracle crusades, just silence, strategic, divine, protective silence. Here's what I need you to understand about your life right now. Some of you are in a spiritual witness protection program. God has relocated you emotionally, socially, even physically. He's moved you away from people who knew the old you, away from environments that defined you by your past, away from voices that would corrupt the testimony He's preparing to release through you. You thought you were being isolated. You were being insulated. You thought you were being forgotten. You were being positioned. You thought your voice was gone. God was just reserving it for the right courtroom. Because, beloved, there's a difference between speaking to everyone and testifying before the right jury. You've been wasting your words on people who were never assigned to your breakthrough. You've been explaining yourself to family members who don't have the spiritual capacity to comprehend what God is doing in you. You've been defending your journey to folks who've never walked a mile in your shoes. And it's left you exhausted, empty, feeling like nobody cares. But they're not your audience. They never were. Right now, as I'm speaking these words, there's someone sitting in a prison cell who needs to hear your story about surviving abuse. There's a grandmother in hospice who needs to know what you learned about God's faithfulness when the doctors gave up. There's a businessman about to lose everything who needs the wisdom you gained when you lost it all at 65 and God rebuilt you from scratch. But if you'd told that story too soon, if you'd shared it with the wrong people at the wrong time, the enemy would have twisted it, diluted it, stripped it of its power before it ever reached the person it was meant to save. This is why God has been teaching you to be comfortable with silence, to stop explaining yourself, to quit defending your choices to people who weren't there when you heard God's voice in the midnight hour. Your voice matters so much to heaven that He's been protecting it like a prosecuting attorney protects a star witness. You don't parade them around town before the trial. You keep them hidden, safe, undisclosed, until the moment they walk into that courtroom and their testimony sends the enemy to prison for life. That's you, chosen one. You're not voiceless. You're being saved for the closing argument. If this is giving you peace about old seasons where you felt ignored, where you felt invisible, where you wondered if anyone even remembered you were still alive, type "I see it now" in the comments. Because what just shifted in your spirit isn't just understanding. That's revelation. That's the veil lifting. That's you finally recognizing that your silence was never punishment. It was the highest form of divine protection. But now comes the question that will determine everything about your next chapter. If God has been protecting your voice all these years, what is He protecting it for? Now listen to me carefully, chosen one, because everything we've talked about means nothing if you don't know how to actually walk this out. You can know the truth, you can feel the conviction, but if you don't have a practical battle plan for your daily life, you'll be back to oversharing by next Tuesday. So, let me give you something you can use tomorrow morning. Something so simple, so powerful, that even if your memory isn't what it used to be, even if you forget half of what I'm saying right now, this will stick. Every single morning, before you check your phone, before you pour that first cup of coffee, before you do anything else, I want you to pray 5 words, just 5 words. Lord, guard my mouth today. That's it. Psalm 141:3 says, "Set a guard, O Lord, over my mouth, keep watch over the door of my lips." David understood something you're about to understand. Your mouth is a door, and every door needs a guard. You wouldn't leave your front door wide open in the middle of the night, would you? Then why do you leave your mouth unguarded when the enemy is prowling around looking for what to steal? But here's where most people miss it. They pray that prayer, and then 15 minutes later, they're on the phone with their sister, spilling everything God whispered to them at 3 a.m. Why? Because they don't have a filter. They don't have a system. So I'm going to give you what I call the 3-question filter. Before you share anything about what God is doing in your life, you ask yourself 3 questions. Write these down. Put them on your refrigerator. Tape them to your bathroom mirror. Question 1. Is this revelation fully rooted? Have I walked in this long enough to know it's real, or am I still in the fragile early stages where doubt could shake it? Because, beloved, if you announce your healing before the follow-up appointment confirms it, if you declare your financial breakthrough before the check clears, if you prophesy your future before God has even finished forming it, you're giving the enemy permission to attack what hasn't yet been established. Question 2. Is this person healed and trustworthy? And I mean really healed. Not church healed where they smile on Sunday but gossip on Monday. Not family healed where they say they're happy for you but secretly resent your progress. You need to discern whether the person you're about to confide in has the spiritual maturity to carry your sacred information without contaminating it with their jealousy, their doubt, or their big mouth. Question 3. Is this move confirmed by God, or am I still processing? Because there's a difference between what God is doing and what you think God is doing. There's a difference between a divine download and your own wishful thinking. Proverbs 18:13 warns, "He that answereth a matter before he heareth it, it is folly and shame unto him." Don't answer questions about your future before you've fully heard from heaven. Now here's the hard part, and I need you to really hear me on this. You need a safe circle. Not a big circle. A small one. 1 to 3 people maximum. That's it. Not your whole prayer group. Not your entire family. Not everyone at church who asks how you're doing. 1 to 3 people who are God-fearing, non-gossiping, fruit-bearing believers who have proven over years, not months, that they can be trusted with your heart. How do you know who belongs in that circle? Look at their life. Matthew 7:16 tells us, "Ye shall know them by their fruits." Do they bear the fruit of the Spirit, or do they bear the fruit of drama, division, and destruction? Do their words build up or tear down? When they pray for you, do things shift? Or do you just feel more confused? And if you're sitting there thinking, I don't have anyone like that, then your safe circle is God alone. And that's not loneliness, beloved. That's holy isolation. That's what Moses had on the mountain. That's what Jesus had in the wilderness. That's what every chosen one has before their greatest breakthrough. Here's another rule that will save your life this year. I call it the delay rule. Whatever God shows you, whatever dream He gives you, whatever promise He whispers, sit on it. Don't talk about it until you've prayed about it for at least 7 days. 7 days of keeping it between you and heaven. 7 days of letting it marinate in your spirit. 7 days of testing whether it's God, your flesh, or the enemy. Why 7? Because 7 is the number of completion in Scripture. God created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th. Joshua marched around Jericho for 7 days before the walls fell. Give God 7 days to confirm what He started before you broadcast it to people who will try to abort it. And when it comes to your testimony, here's the golden rule. Share your story as a completed work, not a fragile construction site. Don't take people on a tour of your miracle while it's still under construction. Wait until the building is finished, the roof is on, the foundation is solid. Then you can invite them in to see what God has done, especially online, especially on Facebook, where your cousin's friend's neighbor is watching. Ecclesiastes 3-7 reminds us there is a time to keep silence and a time to speak. Right now, for most of you, it's time to keep silence. If you're willing to live by these new rules this year, if you're ready to guard your mouth like your blessing depends on it, because it does, type I agree in the comments right now and hit that share button. Send this to at least one person you know who talks too freely so they don't lose what God is building in their life. Because what I'm about to show you next will explain exactly what happens in the spiritual realm when you violate these principles, and why some of you have been stuck for decades simply because you couldn't keep your mouth shut. You want to know why the enemy works overtime to keep you talking? Because he's not all-knowing. He never was. That's God's job. The devil has to study you like a detective studying a suspect. He watches your patterns. He listens to your words. He measures your reactions. And every single unnecessary detail you drop becomes free intelligence for his kingdom. Let me tell you something that's going to shake you. Hell doesn't just want to hurt you anymore. At your age, with your history, with everything you've survived, he knows he can't destroy you. You're still here, aren't you? Still breathing, still believing, still standing after burying people you loved, surviving diagnoses that should have taken you out, weathering financial storms that capsized younger, stronger vessels. No, beloved, the enemy has shifted strategy. He's not coming for you anymore. He's coming for your legacy. Think about it this way. Your life is like a bank account, not the one at Chase or Bank of America. I'm talking about your spiritual account. 70, 80, 90 years of prayers deposited, decades of faithfulness earning compound interest, generational blessings waiting to be transferred, and every time you overshare, it's like leaving your account number on a park bench in Central Park. You're handing thieves the access code to everything God has been building. Here's what I mean in real terms. You tell your ungrateful nephew about the money you've set aside. Suddenly, he's calling more often, pressuring you about the will, making you feel guilty about decisions that aren't even final yet. You share your health diagnosis with that bitter woman from church, the one who smiles on Sunday but whispers on Monday, and now your private pain becomes public, prayer request, gossip disguised as concern. Sister Patricia has that cancer, you know. Bless her heart, but I always said she worried too much. Stress will kill you. You see what just happened there? Your sacred struggle just became her spiritual superiority story. Matthew 7-6 hits different when you're older, doesn't it? Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet, and turn again and rend you. Jesus wasn't being mean, he was being strategic. Some people aren't worthy of your holy information, and when you give it to them anyway, they don't just ignore it, they weaponize it against you. Here's the warfare dimension most preachers won't tell you about. When you reveal God's plans prematurely, you're not just sharing information, you're creating a target. The enemy can't fight what he can't read. He can't sabotage what he doesn't know about. But the moment you announce that breakthrough, before it breaks through, you've just painted a bullseye on your blessing. Remember when Mary got pregnant with Jesus? Luke 1:26 tells us the angel came to her privately. She didn't run to Facebook, well, the ancient equivalent. She didn't gather the synagogue. She went quietly to Elizabeth, the only person who could understand, because she was carrying her own miracle. Mary understood something profound. Sacred things require sacred silence until the appointed time. But you've been trained differently, haven't you? You grew up in a generation that valued honesty, transparency, keeping it real. And those are beautiful values until they become weapons in the enemy's hands. Because there's a difference between being honest and being foolish. There's a difference between transparency and spiritual nakedness. Heaven guards information, hell harvests it. God told Abraham about Isaac, but he didn't broadcast it to Pharaoh. He showed Joseph the dreams, but Joseph learned the hard way that his brothers weren't ready to hear them. The Father revealed Jesus to Mary and Joseph, but they kept it quiet until the shepherds and wise men confirmed it publicly. This is your pattern, chosen one. Receive in private, protect in secret, reveal only when heaven gives the green light. You know what's happening right now? Some of you are having flashbacks. You're remembering that conversation at Thanksgiving 3 years ago when you mentioned you were thinking about selling the house. And suddenly, everyone had an opinion, everyone had advice. Everyone had a cousin in real estate, and what was supposed to be your prayerful decision became a family circus. Or that time you told your daughter about the financial blessing that was coming, and somehow her attitude shifted. Suddenly, she's asking about loans, about help with her mortgage, about money you haven't even received yet. The enemy used your words to create premature expectations that poisoned the very relationship God wanted to bless. Listen to me carefully. At this stage of your life, silence isn't weakness. Silence is wisdom. Silence is warfare. When you stop feeding hell information, you starve his strategy against you. Type "no more leaks" in the comments right now if you're realizing you've had a spiritual data breach. This is your firewall moment. This is where you decide that your latter years won't be sabotaged by your loose lips. But here's what I need to show you next, and this is going to cut deep. Because knowing you should stay silent and actually staying silent are two completely different battles. There's a hidden emotional reason many chosen ones keep leaking information even when they know better, and it goes all the way back to childhood, to a wound you didn't even know was still bleeding. Are you ready to face why you can't stop talking? You know what breaks my heart? It's watching you apologize for breathing, watching you explain yourself to people who stopped listening before you even opened your mouth, watching you give your testimony like you're on trial, desperately hoping someone, anyone, will finally believe you're not the villain they made you out to be. Dear one, let me tell you something that might shatter everything you thought you knew about yourself. You don't talk too much because you're nosy. You don't overshare because you lack wisdom. You talk too much because you were trained to explain yourself just to survive. Think back. Go back to that kitchen table when you were 7 years old. Your mother accused you of something you didn't do, and when you tried to defend yourself, she said, "Don't you dare talk back to me." So you learned silence gets you punished, but speaking gets you labeled disrespectful. You were damned either way. Go back to high school when your teacher blamed you for cheating because your test score was too high. Nobody believed that a kid like you could be that smart. So you spent an hour after class explaining, defending, proving. And even then, they looked at you with doubt in their eyes. Fast forward to your first marriage. Every time you tried to express how you felt, you were told you were being too sensitive, too dramatic, making things up. Gaslighting, they call it now. But back then, you just thought something was wrong with you. So you started explaining harder, longer, more desperately, thinking if you just said it the right way, finally someone would understand. And here you are, 73 years old, 81 years old, still explaining, still defending, still living like you're a defendant on a witness stand with no lawyer, presenting your case to a jury that already decided you're guilty before you said a word. You've spent your entire life in a courtroom that never actually existed. Listen to what the prophet Isaiah declared in chapter 54, verse 17. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. Did you catch that? Every tongue that rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. Not defend against, not explain away, condemn, dismiss, reject their false court entirely. But you've been doing the opposite, haven't you? You've been validating their fake courtroom by showing up every single day, taking the stand, giving your testimony to people who were never appointed as your judges. Your daughter calls, and within 3 minutes, you're explaining why you didn't answer the phone yesterday. Your son visits, and you're defending why there's dishes in the sink. Your neighbor asks about your doctor's appointment, and suddenly you're giving a 45-minute medical history because you need them to know you're not exaggerating your pain. Why? Because somewhere deep in your nervous system, you still believe that if you don't explain yourself perfectly, something terrible will happen. You'll be abandoned. You'll be misunderstood. You'll be called a liar again, like you were at 9 years old when you told the truth and nobody believed you. That's not talking too much, beloved. That's trauma. That's your inner child, still trying to convince people who will never be convinced because they need you to be wrong so they can feel right. But here's the prophetic word that's going to set you free. In 2026, God is removing you from that courtroom. He's dismissing the case. He's firing the jury. He's tearing down the witness stand you've been living on for 7 decades. Romans 8:33 asks the question that ends all questions. Who shall lay anything to the charge of God's elect? It is God that justifieth. If God justifies you, who has the authority to put you on trial? If the judge of all creation says you're righteous through Christ, who are these people demanding you defend yourself? You don't owe your children a dissertation on your choices. You don't owe your friends a timeline of your healing. You don't owe anyone access to what God whispered to you at 3 a.m. when you were crying in your kitchen. Heaven is issuing a gag order over your life right now. Not to silence you, but to free you. Not to shut your mouth, but to shut down the fake courtroom you've been imprisoned in since childhood. And I know what you're feeling right now, relief mixed with terror. Because if you stop explaining yourself, what happens? If you stop defending your decisions, will people think the worst? If you finally rest your case, who will speak for you? God will. The same God who defended David when his own family rejected him. The same God who vindicated Job when his friends called him cursed. The same God who raised Jesus from the dead after the world said he was finished. Your over-explaining was never your personality, chosen one. It was a trauma response. And trauma responses don't define you, they reveal what you survived. If this felt like someone just read your diary out loud, if every word landed like it knew your name, write, "That's me" in the comments. Or just drop a, because you need to know you're not alone in this. You're not crazy. You're not too much. You've just been carrying a burden that was never yours to carry. But here's what you need to understand next. Heaven doesn't just remove you from the courtroom. Heaven actually seals your mouth about specific things, not as punishment, but as protection. And what I'm about to show you will reveal why silence is about to become your greatest weapon in 2026. You know what changed everything for me? It was the moment I realized God wasn't asking me to defend myself anymore. He was commanding me to be silent. Listen to me, chosen one. In the courts of heaven right now, and I mean right this second, there are moments when the Almighty literally leans over the bench, looks at your situation, and declares, "Say nothing. I've got this case." You've been on the witness stand for 70 years, explaining yourself to children who don't understand your choices, justifying your faith to family members who mock what they've never experienced, defending your God-given decisions to people who've never heard His voice themselves. And you're exhausted, aren't you? Bone-tired from trying to make blind people see what only spiritual eyes can perceive. But here's what heaven is declaring over your life in 2026. You don't owe them an explanation. Let me paint you a picture from the legal world I know well from these New York streets. When a judge issues a gag order in a high-profile case, it's not to silence the truth, it's to protect it. It's to keep the evidence pure, the testimony untainted, the verdict uncorrupted by outside noise. A gag order says, "This case is so important, so valuable, so sacred that we cannot allow public opinion to contaminate what's happening in this courtroom." That's exactly what God is doing with your story right now. Human gag orders are about control. But heaven's gag order? That's about protection. That's about pending victory. That's about a judge who's so confident in the outcome of your case that he won't let you sabotage it by talking too much to the wrong people. Think about this. When you walk into a courtroom in Manhattan and your attorney is top tier, I'm talking the kind who's never lost a case, what does he tell you? Don't say a word. Let me handle this. Every time you open your mouth without my permission, you weaken our position. God is your attorney in 2026, and He's telling you the same thing. Exodus 14:14 says it plainly. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still, not active, not defensive, not explaining. Still. Because when God fights your battles, your job isn't to convince anyone of anything. Your job is to obey what He told you and let Him handle the fallout. But why is this so hard for you? I'll tell you why. Because you've spent decades believing that if you could just explain it better, they would finally understand. If you could just show them the scripture, they'd believe. That's the lie that's been stealing your peace for years. You cannot convince someone to see what God has not yet revealed to them. You cannot argue someone into understanding a calling they were never meant to participate in. You cannot defend a divine decision to people operating with earthly minds. And in 2026, God is saying enough. No more long text messages to your daughter explaining why you're making this move. No more 3-hour phone calls with your sister trying to justify the financial decision God told you to make. No more sitting at that kitchen table defending your boundaries to people who've never respected them anyway. Heaven has issued a gag order over your mouth, and it's the most loving thing God could do for you right now. Look at Jesus. When they accused Him before Pilate, what did He do? Matthew 27:14 tells us, Jesus made no reply, not even to a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor. The Son of God stood silent while lies flew around Him like bullets. Why? Because He knew the outcome was already determined. He knew the resurrection was 3 days away. He knew His silence was more powerful than any defense. That's you in 2026, beloved. Standing silent while accusations fly, resting while confusion swirls, trusting while others question. Because you know something they don't know. You know the judge, you know the attorney, you know the verdict has already been written in your favor. But here's where it gets personal. Right now, you're probably facing something major. A decision about where to live in your final years. A choice about your finances that nobody understands. A boundary you need to set with family members who've taken advantage of your kindness for decades. A move God has been whispering to you that sounds crazy to everyone else. And you're tempted, so tempted to gather everyone together and explain it all, to lay out your case, to prove you're not losing your mind, to show them the scripture, the signs, the confirmations. Don't do it. God is placing His hand over your mouth right now and saying, "This one is mine. I will vindicate you. I will make it clear. I will prove I sent you, but not through your explanations, through my manifestations." You don't need to get on that witness stand anymore. You don't need to defend yourself to the jury of family opinion. You don't need to convince the prosecution that you heard from heaven. You need to rest your case. And when you do, when you finally close your mouth and let God be God, something shifts in the spiritual realm. The angels who've been waiting for permission to move on your behalf suddenly get their marching orders. The blessing that's been held up by your constant need to explain yourself suddenly breaks loose. The peace you've been chasing for 70 years finally floods your soul. In the next part, I'm going to give you something concrete. A simple but powerful way to enter a covenant of silence with God for 2026. It's almost ritual-like in its simplicity, but beloved, it will mark you, it will change you, it will shift everything. But right now, if you're ready, if you're truly ready to get off that witness stand and let God be your attorney, type these 4 words in the comments: I rest my case. That's not just a comment. That's your prophetic act tonight. That's you telling heaven, I'm done defending myself. I'm done explaining. I'm done trying to convince people who were never meant to understand. God, you take it from here, because the courtroom of heaven is watching, and your attorney is about to do what only he can do. You've heard the warning. You understand the danger. But knowledge without action is like faith without works, dead. So, right now, before we go any further, I'm going to ask you to do something that might feel strange at first. But chosen one, what I'm about to lead you through isn't just an exercise. It's a prophetic activation. It's you signing heaven's confidentiality agreement. Listen carefully. I want you to get up, yes, right now, and find a small piece of paper. Any paper will do. An old envelope, a receipt, a page from a notebook. Just something you can write on and fold. Got it? Good. Now write 3 things on that paper. Not sentences, just 3 words or short phrases that only you and God understand. Maybe it's the name of the sickness he's healing. Maybe it's the amount of the financial breakthrough you've been praying for. Maybe it's the initials of the prodigal child coming home. Maybe it's the word vindication for the false accusation that destroyed your reputation in 1998. Write it down. Nobody's watching. Nobody needs to know what those 3 things are. This is between you and the Almighty. You done? Now fold that paper. Fold it once for your mind, because you're making a decision to guard your thoughts and stop rehearsing your testimony before it's time. Fold it twice for your heart, because you're protecting what God planted there from the thieves who smile at your face. Fold it 3 times for your future, because what's coming is too precious to be contaminated by premature revelation. Now, I want you to place that folded paper somewhere sacred. Inside your Bible, maybe in the book of Psalms, where David learned to cry to God instead of complaining to people. Under your pillow, where you lay your head at night and whisper prayers nobody hears. In a drawer. In your wallet. Somewhere you'll see it and remember. This isn't magic, beloved. This isn't superstition. This is a physical reminder of a spiritual covenant. Every single time you see that folded paper, you remember, these 3 things are between me and God until he says otherwise. Think about it like this. In heaven's file room, there's a sealed envelope with your name on it. Daniel 12:4 says, But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. There are some revelations so powerful that God himself seals them until the appointed time. What you just did physically is happening spiritually right now. Heaven has sealed a file. Your breakthrough is classified information. But here's what's about to happen, and I need you to be ready for it. The moment you make a covenant of silence, hell will send people to test it. Your sister's going to call tomorrow asking nosy questions. Your prayer partner's going to say, you seem different, what's going on? Your grandkids are going to notice something's changed and push you to explain. And you who've spent 70 years trying to make people understand you, trying to prove you're not crazy, trying to convince your family that God still speaks, you're going to feel that old familiar urge to spill everything. Don't you dare. The enemy knows that if he can get you talking too soon, he can get you doubting too soon. If he can trick you into explaining what God's doing before God's done doing it, he can plant enough skepticism in your mind through other people's reactions that you'll abort the very thing heaven's been preparing. Job 13:5. It's different when you're being tested. Oh, that ye would altogether hold your peace. And it should be your wisdom. Your silence isn't weakness. Your silence is warfare. Your silence is wisdom the world can't comprehend, because they've never learned to trust God more than they trust validation from people. If you did this activation, if you wrote those 3 things down and folded that paper and made this covenant type sealed in the comments right now, that's you signing heaven's confidentiality agreement. That's you telling the invisible realm, I'm done leaking my blessings through my loose lips. But now that you've sealed what must be protected, you need to know what's coming next, because the battle for your silence is about to get personal. You know what's coming, don't you? The moment you decide to keep your mouth shut about what God's doing, somebody's going to show up demanding answers, not asking, demanding. Like you owe them a detailed report on your prayer life, your bank account, and every conversation you've had with the Almighty. Let me tell you who's coming for you in 2026. It's that daughter-in-law who only calls when she needs money, and suddenly she's real interested in how you're doing financially. It's that cousin who hasn't spoken to you in 3 years, but the moment you start looking peaceful, she needs to know what's different about you. It's that church sister who corners you after service with that syrupy voice. You know, if you really trusted me, you'd tell me what God's been saying to you. And here's what breaks my heart. After 70, 80 years of living, you still feel guilty saying no to these people. Listen to me carefully. The pressure you're about to face isn't coming from strangers. It's coming from your own dinner table, from people who share your last name, from folks sitting in the same pew every Sunday. And they're going to use 3 weapons against your silence: guilt, obligation, and spiritual manipulation. I'm your mother. Why are you keeping secrets from me? After everything I've done for you, you can't even tell me what's going on. The Bible says to bear one another's burdens. How can I pray for you if you won't share? You hear that? That's not love talking. That's control dressed up in church language. Jesus himself understood this. In Matthew 7-6, he said something that might shock you. Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet, and turn again and rend you. Did the Son of God just call some people dogs and swine? Yes, he did. Because he knew that not everyone deserves access to what's sacred in your life. Your breakthrough is a pearl. Your healing is holy. And some people, even people you love, will trample it and then attack you for sharing it. So what do you say when they come testing your silence? Here's your script, and I want you to memorize this like your address. I'm still praying about it. That's it. 5 words. You don't owe them a dissertation. You don't need to explain yourself. When your son calls asking why you haven't mentioned that doctor's appointment, you say, I'm still praying about it. When your best friend since 1973 gets offended that you didn't tell her about your financial blessing, you smile and say, it's not the right time to talk about that. And when that spiritual manipulator at church tries to guilt you with, don't you trust me? Beloved, this is when you stand your ground. Look them in the eye and say, God asked me to keep this between me and him for now. You are not being rude. You are being obedient. But here's what the enemy wants you to believe, that at your age, you don't have the right to boundaries, that you've been around too long to suddenly start keeping things private. That family is family, and you owe them transparency about everything God whispers to you at 3 a.m. That is a lie from the pit of hell. Proverbs 25:2 declares, it is the glory of God to conceal a thing. If the Almighty himself conceals things, why do you think you're obligated to reveal everything just because someone asks? You think God tells the angels all his plans. You think he runs his strategy by the 24 elders before he moves. No. He keeps some things hidden until the appointed time. And so can you. I know what you're thinking right now. But they're going to be upset with me. They're going to think I've changed. They're going to accuse me of being secretive. Good. Let them. Their discomfort with your boundaries is not your emergency. Their need to know is not your obligation to tell. and their interpretation of your silence is between them and God, not you. You want to know what's really happening when people test your silence. They're revealing who they are. The ones who respect your no without demanding explanations, those are your people. The ones who get angry, manipulative, or distant because you won't feed their curiosity. They just told you everything you need to know about their intentions. Mary, the mother of Jesus, understood this. Luke 2:19 says, "But Mary kept all these things and pondered them in her heart." She didn't run to the neighbors. She didn't post it on the synagogue bulletin board. She kept it, pondered it, protected it. And because she knew how to treasure what was holy, God trusted her with the Savior of the world. What is God trusting you with right now that requires the same protection? Here's what I need you to understand before we go any deeper. The more faithful you stay to this divine silence, the more you're going to notice something that will absolutely blow your mind. God starts moving silently too. While everyone's waiting for you to announce your miracle, God's already performing it behind the scenes. While they're pressuring you for updates, heaven's updating your situation in ways they'll never see coming. Because miracles don't need press releases. They need obedience. If you can already picture exactly who's going to test your silence this year, that one person whose face just popped into your head, just drop a rolling eyes emoji or write "I know who" in the comments. Heaven knows their name. You don't have to speak it. But what you do need to know is this. How do you recognize when God is moving in complete silence? And how do you position yourself to receive what He's orchestrating while everyone else is distracted by noise? Chosen one. As we come to the end of this divine warning, I need you to hold on to 3 truths that will anchor your soul in 2026. First, silence is not weakness, it's spiritual warfare. When you refuse to reveal what God is building, you're not being secretive, you're being obedient. Second, your words carry more power this year than ever before. What you speak too soon can be stolen. What you protect in silence can multiply. And third, the people who test your boundaries are revealing their true intentions. Let them reveal themselves while you remain faithful to heaven's instructions. But beloved, hear me clearly. You are not walking this path alone. The same God who warned you through this message is the God who will walk with you through every uncomfortable conversation, every guilt trip, every moment when staying silent feels harder than speaking. He hasn't brought you this far to abandon you now. Romans 8:31 reminds us, if God be for us, who can be against us? And beyond God's presence, you have us. Right here, right now, in this community of believers who understand what it means to carry holy secrets, to walk in divine timing, to protect what heaven has entrusted to your care. We are praying for you. We see you. We understand the weight you carry. So let me ask you one final question that will determine how you walk through this year. Will you trust God enough to stay silent, even when silence costs you comfort? Now, before you leave this sacred space, let me pray over you with the authority of someone who has walked with God through decades of tests. Heavenly Father, I place my hand on the shoulder of every precious soul hearing these words. Lord, you know the pressure they're facing. You know the people who will test them, question them, and demand answers they're not supposed to give. Right now, I ask you to seal their lips with holy fire. Give them supernatural strength to say no without guilt, to create boundaries without apology, to protect what you've whispered to them in secret. Father, confuse the plans of every person who seeks to manipulate, control, or steal what you're building in their lives. Silence every voice that tries to make them doubt this divine instruction. Surround them with your presence so thick that when the pressure comes, they feel your hand steadying theirs. Open doors no man can shut. Provide in ways that require no explanation. Move so powerfully in their lives that when the time comes to speak, their testimony will silence every doubt. And Lord, until that appointed time, give them peace that surpasses understanding, the kind of peace that lets them sleep soundly while others demand answers. In Jesus' mighty name, I seal this prayer. Amen. Now, I need to hear from you. Comment below and tell us, which of these 3 things hit you hardest? What's God asking you to protect in 2026? And if you need prayer for a specific situation where you're being pressured to speak too soon, share it. This community will surround you with intercession. If this message pierced your spirit, share it with someone who needs this warning. Someone in your life is about to make the mistake of revealing too much too soon, and this video could save their breakthrough. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel and ring that notification bell. Every week, we're releasing messages specifically for God's chosen ones, the ones who know they're called for more, who've been walking this narrow path, who refuse to settle for religious noise when heaven is offering divine strategy. Thank you for staying until the very end. That decision alone tells me everything about your heart. You're serious about your calling, and heaven is taking notice. Go in silence, go in power, go in the unshakable confidence that what God whispers to you in secret, He will one day shout from the rooftops. But until then, guard it like the treasure it is.